Hey, what's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to the Nutrition and Wellness Guy podcast. I'm joined today by Dr. Como, a great friend of mine, and a new member to the Healthiest family. Today is episode 22, and it's all about eye health. And you all know when it comes to eye health, this is one of those things that we have a tendency to overlook, and we don't put as much importance on the eye until the eye becomes an issue. So, as you all know, this platform is about prevention and maintenance. And that's what we're building this community up on. I mean, we're not here to treat, diagnose, or cure anything that's happening in your eye health journey. However, we want to provide some strategies, we want to provide some tools, and also some tips that any one of us can do when it comes to our eye health from the inside out. I'm going to start with my opening monologue as I usually do now. And here we go. This episode, welcome back to Coach's Corner. Today, we're diving into something most of us take for granted until it starts to slip, which is our vision. Eye health is so much more than just glasses or contacts. It's about protecting the delicate structures that allow us to experience the world, detect disease early, and maintain independence as we age. Here's the thing, your eyes just don't show you the outside world. They also reveal what's going on inside your body. High blood pressure, diabetes, inflammation, they all leave clues in your eyes long before you feel symptoms elsewhere. Yet, most people skip regular eye exams or think eye health is only about 20/20 vision. That's why I'm thrilled to be joined today by Dr. Como, who's going to help us understand what true eye health encompasses, the myths we need to throw out, and how to protect one of the most priceless senses for life. Dr. Como, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for
I
having me.
no, thank you for being here. Community, she is someone who is passionate about the eye. She has been, and I'm looking, I'm like, okay, why am I not able to get into my, okay, there we go. She is so passionate about the eye, and I'm just gonna real quick go over some of her highlights so you all could put some respect on her name. You know what I mean? I just didn't grab her off the street somewhere. We only bring the best of the best. So she's a graduate from New England College of Optometry in Boston. She also did her undergraduate, and we should have rehearsed this again
Yeah.
today. In community, I'll share. I like to keep it raw with you guys. And very so yesterday, Dr. Como and I we pre-recorded this episode, 52 minutes of pure gold, and when it was time for the file to render, everything was gone. And I was like, oh my God. So I called her right away. I said, Dr. Como, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The bad news is the episode is gone, but the good news is we get to do it all over again. And she
Yes.
was excited. And right away, she was like, hey, let's just do it right away. So here we are. We are retaping this episode. And to the integrity of this not being scripted in a sense where she knows what she's saying, I know what I'm saying. We're actually going at it at a different angle and with the integrity in mind. None of this is pre-scripted. We're still just flowing like how we do community with this Nutritional Wellness Guide podcast. So I just wanted to keep it real with you all. Again, this is our second time doing this episode, and I'm excited because it's almost like I feel like I'm an optometrist now after our last after our last take. So Joya, so again, Susquehanna
Yes, Susquehanna, you got it.
University and BS in biology with a minor in biochemistry. She also did clinical rotations at Montrose Veterans Hospital in New York, also Newport Naval Hospital in Rhode Island. Woo-hoo, that's Johnson and Wells. What's up, y'all? My
Yeah,
alum.
yeah.
And various clinics for homeless vets in Boston. Oh, that's pretty sweet. Dr. Como has been practicing for over 20 years in various settings such as private, retail, and corporate. She is still an active member of the American Optometric
You got
Association and New Jersey Optometric Society. Also, bonus, she has done screenings for Special Olympics. So this pretty much is telling me you know your way around the eyeball. So I mean, thank you for joining me. Thank you for
Thank
taking the
you.
time out. Let's get right into it. what are why are our eyes considered the windows to our body? I mean, people say the windows to
Yeah.
the soul, but really
Yeah.
eyes are the windows to the
The
body.
body. Yeah. Because that's a very good question. It is a it's a area in our body that we can observe the blood vessels. So the blood
Okay.
vessels in the back of our eye show us everything. They
Mm,
show us if there's diabetes or hypertension, anything else going on. So we can actually, the only place in the body we can observe the blood vessels, and nothing else we can do. Um, Imaging and things like that to other parts of the body is great, but we can, from the outside in, we can actually look and see the blood
wow.
vessels to the back of the
And
eye.
and I didn't even know that because of the
Yes.
connection to the brain and to the eyes, the connection from the gut
Yes.
to the eyes. The eyes are very instrumental to a lot of the organs, but obviously the brain eye
Yes.
connection is right there. But
It's
who knew? Who
yes.
knew that the blood vessels, that's the only place? Like,
You can really
wow.
take a lens and look at the back of the eye and see everything. And even the exterior of the eye, there could be inflammation there too, other things going on that it gives us clues, like that was a good word, clues to what may be going on
Mm,
inside the body. So
eh,
some people have inflammation, or that we call an anterior chamber reaction, which is a inflammatory response that tells us
okay.
all about what's going on inside the body, such as autoimmune diseases and things like that. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for segueing because that was my follow-up. So what, what can the eye detect? Like you've been in this for, quite some time. What are some of the signs that the eye can pretty much give you an idea? What can the eye signal detect before any other lab or any other thing out there can do,
Yes,
especially with the blood
exactly.
vessel?
Yes, the best thing is they can detect, like I said, was mentioning autoimmune.
Mhm.
Um, the It is also diabetes. That's one big one. If you see
Mm,
bleeding in the back of the eye. Also, I mentioned plaque when we talked before. Plaque can get developed in between the blood vessel walls, and we can actually see that plaque, which is a very big indicator of possibly a stroke about to happen. So these are all important things. Some people have
oh,
double vision. I think I
okay.
mentioned that once before. Double vision also tells us something neurological going on. So there's
Okay.
lots of things that could happen, that, once again, that word clue, clue us into what's going on to the
Yes.
back, to the body. Yes.
What are some of the main functions of the eye besides sight?
Yeah. So the main function, well, obviously, yes, sight, but
Yes.
also, inside the eye, we have a flow system within inside the eye,
Okay.
which is for, like, if that flow system, it's an inflow and outflow system, which
Okay.
can end up being, that's where you hear glaucoma. That's flow system could be off, causing glaucoma. Um, but when you
Ooh.
say function, it's also muscular control. So if you're,
Oh.
with there's six muscles around each eye, and that helps us focus and helps us move our eye, detect, tracking and things like
Wow.
that, especially when we're reading. If one of those muscles are not being, they're weakened, like you could see someone with an eye turn, that sort of thing, and that can cause problems with double vision, eye strain, things like that.
When
Yeah.
you say eye turn, is that the same as like a lazy eye, or that's
Yes,
not the
or
same? That
yes,
okay, so
strabismus.
that is
Yes, yes. Some people have a lazy eye, where it could also, that can be kind of generalized. So sometimes
okay.
that can just be an eye that just doesn't see that well, but it could also be an eye that drifts out a bit or drifts in, and that's where sometimes you hear about, especially in children, they have
Wow.
surgeries that are done, for that, to shorten or lengthen that muscle so their eyes are more aligned, because we need our eyes to track together as a team. So their other
Oh,
function is, that sense is so big, not just the vision, like you were mentioning, it's also depth perception, and to get us around in the world. And we need both eyes to do that.
So this was not even on my question. So okay,
Yeah.
I'm super intrigued now. So this
Yeah.
we're going down a rabbit hole. So okay, in regards to all right, so lazy eye, this is like because you'll see someone with the eyelid that's partially closed.
Oh, yeah.
So what about people who are cross-eyed, or we called it cockeyed? Like what is that function?
Yeah. So
Or
some
what's
people have
happening there?
right there is a good question because sometimes the muscles are imbalanced. So in
Oh,
around the eye, because once again we have like six muscles keeping our eyes together to function as a team, and they're all
wow.
there's nerve innervation for all those muscles. If one muscle is too short, too long, or the nerve innervation is not there, then the eye does become misaligned. And there are surgical procedures to help that, even lenses that have prism in them to help align. So there are,
Okay.
and they have vision therapy. So there are ways to work on that, especially children.
Okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, so is this one of those things that it's usually uh it doesn't really develop in adulthood. It's usually a childhood thing. And so it's correctable. So if you see someone in their later years with that defect, it's because they weren't able to correct it based on whatever their
Probably.
circumstances were. But
Yes,
what's
probably.
okay?
Some people may have a certain situation where it would just not was not correctable, but
Mm,
most of the time it is correctable because they do have different interventions that do help this situation.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
good
there
to know.
yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Especially with kids. Some
Yeah.
children are very young and they have their eye just, turns out a bit. So they have to adjust that with usually surgical procedure.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I
it's very
wish I knew that.
successful.
Yeah,
Very
because I
successful though.
mean, thank God for science and technology now. I mean, I grew up and I had a really bad eye and
Yeah.
I had a really great eye. And one eye did all of the work. I mean, seeing like I would be able to cover up one eye and I can tell you what's happening tomorrow. That's how good the other eye was. Like
Yes.
I could see what's the future. That it was a really good eye. But the other eye, I would say was lazy, but there weren't lazy muscles. It was just lazy in regards to sight.
Yes.
And as a child, I would hate it. I would get picked on because I would have to get the glasses that were very thick in one of my eyes, like a bifocal, almost a
Oh.
trifocal. I don't even know if that's a thing. It was just so thick. And I
Yes.
remember just whenever we went to the doctor and I could not pick any style that I liked, I had to pick the style that can hold the thick
Oh,
lens.
yeah. Yeah.
And I remember losing them on purpose, breaking
Yeah.
them on purpose.
Yes.
And I'd rather go blind than to wear those kind of glasses as a
Right.
child. But I don't think my mom or dad knew there, and who knows if the technology was there at the time, that they knew they could have helped correct the eye. Now, since then, this eye has, I mean, I played baseball with this eye, and I thought I was just garbage. I never hit the ball ever. I couldn't catch balls in the outfield. It was my depth perception. It was so
Yes.
horrible, Dr. Como. And
Oh.
I just think about it now. We were like the bad news bears. Shout out to Roselle High School. That's where I went to school at. And I love my team. We had an amazing team, amazing coaches, but we just didn't win. And I did not help. And I remember one time they said, okay, you can't do outfield. You can't do, let's try you as umpire. Oh my God, it was the worst game ever because I could never see the ball come into the glove. So the pitcher is throwing the ball and it never went into my glove. They had to pause the game so many times. I say all of that to say that eyesight is so important,
Oh.
and especially for children, parents who are listening to this, people who are considering that, have kids, just understand that their eyesight and our eyesight is so important. Since then, I got
Yes.
LASIK and I barely made it into the army. I don't even know how I made, you know what it was? I learned how to cheat my
Yeah.
eye.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So when I went to the DMV to do the eye test, I have a good memory. So I would remember everything on the chart with the good eye. And once they said cover up the eye, and Dr. Como, I skated all of my adult life without being prescribed or needing on my driver's license corrective lenses
Oh my
because I
gosh.
cheated every single eye test. I
Oh
would
my
look
god.
I memorized the whole chart. This eye could see the bottom line.
Oh my goodness.
I got into the army. Lord, oh God, forgot. It worked out. But then, I got LASIK and it was able to correct the eye. Uh, but I,
Yes.
but I wanted to stay on that for a little bit because this is a PSA. This is a call to action for parents with your children. Just understand that with eye exams, they're not just for picking out a nice pair of glasses. They're
Yes.
not, and sometimes, Dr. Coleman, I feel like we treat eye exams like oil changes. Like, oh, I just came here to get glasses. I just
Yes.
came here, to use my one annual eye exam, and then
Yes.
I gotta go. They usually schedule it during lunch break or,
Right.
right after work, and it's just like, hey, I'm doing this before I pick up the kids, or hey, I'm doing this before
Yes.
the gym. And can you speak to the importance of an annual eye exam? And what are
Absolutely.
some of the things that you are looking for in an eye exam that people who have good vision, they may have been blessed. They may have said, okay, nothing's ever happened, but can you talk to the darker side of what you found in these eye exams that if
Yeah,
they
good
did not come to you, it would have been a real issue shortly
Yes.
down the road?
Yes, very good question. I've had people who can't come in who just, I broke my glasses. I need glasses
Mm,
next week. I'm traveling. I want a new pair of sunglasses, which is great. But they're rushing in to get the glasses, which is understandable.
mm-hmm.
But then we have to do an exam, great.
Yes.
But then I find things further than just the prescription. So I had a woman who came
Mm.
in once and she had a plaque, what I was speaking of before,
Oh,
in the blood vessels of her eye, and she had to have immediate, something very soon to be taken care of, to get that looked at, because it could mean a stroke on the horizon. So these are things. Here she was just trying to get a pair of glasses, and she had some findings that were very concerning. And that is right there, the importance of the annual eye exam, because we might not be feeling anything. We don't feel the
gotcha.
pressure in our eye. It's nothing like, a lot of people think it has something to do with blood pressure. It has nothing to do with blood pressure. You don't
Okay.
feel pressure inside the eye. You don't really, some people don't, you don't feel anything going on. There might be
Hmm.
bleeding in the back of the eye. The person doesn't even realize it. And now you look in and you say, well, you have to have a whole health evaluation
Yeah.
based on what I'm finding. And they're in shock. They're like, oh, I was just coming in to get my glasses, or my contacts for that matter.
Mm,
And here they are with a whole nother concern on their hands. Luckily it was caught. But
yeah.
if someone goes every year, you could follow up. Now we have more imaging and things like that. You can follow up year to year, but just even the basic, just to have that looked at, and someone
Hmm.
to say, okay, your vessels look good in the back of the eye, the optic nerve looks healthy, your pressures are good,
Yes.
and all the parameters. There's visual field, their side vision, peripheral vision is good. All those
Well,
help us. If they're indicators of something else going on. So it's
clues.
so important.
Wow. And and
Yeah.
and and you know what, Dr. Como, I'll be honest. Confession. I mean, I never took the eye exam that serious. I mean,
Yeah.
I the same way, and I'm a naturopath, so I'm very like whole health. If it's
Yes.
not from the earth, I don't want it. Yada
Yes.
yada yada.
Yes.
But I'm also true to healthiest fam. So healthiest
Yes.
fam, we're very much about having your cake and eat it too. There's has to be a balance. I'm a flexitarian, so it has to be a balance. And I would give more precedence to my doctor, who's a naturopath. I would give more importance to my physical therapy, my chiropractic doctor, who
Yes.
helps me with alignment. I give so much precedence to these other specialties. However, when I get to the eye side, I mean, I'll just go to Target. I'll do their well, not Target right now because they've been acting up. So
Yeah.
but back in the day, at the time of this recording, but you have these eye exam spots that are inside Walmart, Target,
Yes.
Costco,
Yes.
and I hate to say it, not the marketing side of it, but sometimes. the shops are located so conveniently that you don't think of it like a hospital. You don't think of it as
Yes.
important because the glasses, maybe this is the capitalistic side that we didn't talk about on the last Zoom. Maybe this is the capitalistic side of the eye world where the real money is in the glasses. The real money is in the prescription. The real money is in the contacts. So when you go to an eye doctor, everything's on display for sale.
Yes.
And then the room for the examination is smaller, and it's just almost like, suggestive. So I'm so glad to have you on this platform because I want to reprogram our thinking. And just because, we may have got it wrong in the setup of optometrist shop or eye doctor
Yeah.
shop, just because the bigger part is the sales is really what's happening in the exam room that is the main part, which
Yes.
again is no fault to you all who are eye doctors because that's the field you came into. But it's interesting when we go to the hospital, the pharmacy is not the first part we walk into with the sale of cough
Yes.
medicine and eye drop. You're going into a lobby, you're going into an exam, so maybe that's something to consider. Man, that I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking future tense, but it would be cool to see, maybe the glasses in the back somewhere, and the first part is just a lobby, and there's, because everyone's excitement when they come into an eye shop while they're waiting for their appointment is they're already starting to pick out their
Their
glasses. They're
glass.
not thinking
Yes.
there could be anything going on with their eyes.
Right. Right.
Can you speak to what are some things that people overlook when it comes to their eyes? So can you just give us some signs? I don't know if it's headaches. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
blurry. I don't know if it's a
Right.
spot in the eye. Like, what are some things that you can see as a trained professional that we may dismiss and say, oh, we're just tired or we're just getting older?
Yeah, yeah, very good question. A lot of patients come in, especially an older population. Oh, I just need new glasses. My lenses aren't working that well. Okay, what's
Mm,
going on? I'm not driving well at night. I'm not seeing the TV as well. I just need new prescription. Well, you look in and now they have cataracts or they have something going on with the retina even. And I think a lot of people kind of think that they just need new glasses. Sometimes
mm,
no matter what the prescription is, they need to have those things rectified in order to
okay.
see. So that's when they get referred out to like
Yeah.
ophthalmology to have that removed. So that's one thing that I think people just kind of take for granted. They think,
Yeah.
oh, I just need new glasses. I just need
Okay.
new lenses. And it turns out that they need more than that.
And is
Yeah.
and usually so we dismiss. All right. So you said two things. That one, you said a word I've never heard before. So you're an optometrist. The specialty for surgery, what is it called again?
Ophthalmology.
And what's the difference
Ophthalmology.
between the
Yeah.
both of you?
Yeah, so they do more the surgery end of things. Okay, so
Okay.
they do the cataract removal, or if there's a retinal tear or hole, they do the surgical end of things. So we're more
Wow.
on, yes. So we still treat ocular diseases like glaucoma. We still
Yeah.
manage eye care. We do foreign body removal. People get things in their eye. We do all of those things, but they do more of the surgical end of
Okay.
time, yes,
So you guys
of
are
ours.
very crucial for detection
Yes.
and very crucial for detection. And then once you're found the detection, you refer out.
Yes,
And
if it's
then,
something
if it's
with
something that's
surgical.
that's crucial. Wow.
Yes.
So you said something about older people. That's another, I think, another misnomer that, people feel like, oh, I'm okay. I'm only 30. I'm only 20. I'm only
Yeah.
30. I'm only 40. I'm only 50. I'm only 60 because let's be honest, the older you get, old is not old.
Yeah. I
I
know.
feel like when we were like 12 years old, 40 and 50 was old, but the
Uh-huh.
older we're getting, we're like, no, 80 and 90 is old. Like the
Yeah,
the
right.
60s not really old, 70s not really old because we
Yes.
got some really cool 60 and 70-year-old, like they have the swag, the energy. So
Yes.
old is not old anymore. It's changing in definition unless you talk to my nephew and then you
Yeah,
say, yeah, you
yes.
old, you're old. I'm like, okay, whatever. But speak to that in regards to how some people the importance of eye exams even in the 20s and even in
Oh,
the
yeah.
teens
Yeah.
because of ultra processed foods and the excess use of tablets. And can you speak to the importance of that and not just waiting
Yeah.
until you get old
Right.
and seeing some disease in younger people too?
Yeah. The big thing is eye dryness. We're seeing kids
Mm,
10, 12, 13 years old with dry eye because they're on the devices. They're on Chromebooks at school. They are using
mm,
their eyes so much more. So the eye strain is definitely increased over time. And
wow.
people who wear contacts, they are drying out. The contacts are drying out more frequently. So we have to make sure that those contacts are properly fit. And a lot of people, a lot of times you're not blinking as much. I was saying like 14 times per minute we blink when we're
Okay.
on average. When we're on a monitor or a device, we're blinking about 7 times per minute. So
Wow.
that right there shows us we're blinking thereabouts half the time that we're supposed to per minute.
Mm,
So take that minute and multiply it by the day, and we have a very dry eye on our hands, especially the kids, because now they're gaming on top of it. They're using their phones, they're using their tablets, they're using their Chromebooks, and
mm,
that's one thing we're seeing. Um, Eye disease itself, I think it's more of that dry eye. That's what I'm seeing more. Um, and that's one area that I just have noticed a big increase in an eye strain for the younger
wow.
population. Yes.
Wow. What can we do, Doc? I mean, we're in an age where our jobs are requiring us to be, in the screen. We're
Yeah.
in an age where kids are learning from a screen.
Yes.
We're in an age where the babies are the screen has become the second nanny. So, or
Yes.
it has
Oh,
become the babysitter. I mean, it's no getting away from it. Let's be honest. I mean, we're in
absolutely.
that digital age,
100%.
and it's like the industrial age. So we're in the digital age. What can we do to protect our eyes? What can we do to be
Yeah.
more proactive since
Yeah.
we are in this world?
Good question. There is something out there called the 20-20-20 rule. For every
Yes.
20 minutes you're on the screen, you look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That is great in a perfect world if someone would
Okay.
do that. But if you're going to do that, and one thing I do
Hmm.
want to bring up, which I think is great, but not everyone does, it's just hard to remember. But if you do, look at something like specifically, like if you're looking at 20 feet away, try to look, say you're
Okay.
looking at a tree, take
Okay.
look at a leaf on the tree and try to really focus in on it instead of just kind of passively looking away. Kind of make your eyes actively look
Mm,
further away. So that's, even if it is not every 20 minutes or even
okay.
every hour, that's better than nothing. I
Gotcha.
think trying to relax our eyes like that
Okay.
when doing so much, I mean, just so much by the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Blue light, I know there's a lot of talk about blue light blocker. A lot of that's in our devices. We can control that within our
Okay.
control centers to have that to reduce eye dryness, eye fatigue, and even for our sleep. A lot of these devices
Mm,
go into sleep mode so that we sleep better. Our, rhythmic sleeping, is much
good
better
point.
with that too. So those are some things to do.
Mm,
Really, the biggest thing is to get the phones away at nighttime and
yeah.
let your body just kind of kick in and do its thing instead of looking at such a bright screen and putting that strain and kind of changing how we're sleeping. That's one big thing.
Yeah.
Children, they're not sleeping as well because of the devices.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you touched on some great ones. These are some of the micro habits we covered this week. So you're right on the money.
Okay.
I'm glad you broke down the 20-20-20 rule because again, if you know better, you have the chance. We're here to provide some strategies and tools. And maybe this was someone's first time hearing about the 20-20-20 rule. And I find it to be super helpful. I didn't understand it, and I was like, okay, this is fluff, but it actually works. And now because you broke down the science, the anatomy of the eye, the muscles, I get it now that you're allowing all the muscles to engage because this is, near sight. So we're looking really close up.
Yes.
So to break that pattern, and to look out 20 feet and someone said, "What's 20 feet?" You can stand
Yeah.
up and walk 20 to 30 paces, and that's about 20
Yes.
feet. So you look
Yes.
out that far, unless you're Shaq, and then you're just this 3 steps,
Yeah.
because he has really big feet.
Yes.
Shout out to Shaq. I was watching his documentary on Netflix yesterday, and I'm just so proud of that guy. I love
Yeah.
Shaq. Love
He's
Shaq.
great.
Oh,
He's
Shaq, we
great.
love you, man. A shout out to Reebok. I just love it. But you're just taking all these steps forward. And when you look out, I like what you said because I didn't understand the focus on something. I was just kind of like perusing. I was just, just
Yeah.
glancing. But your science and what your recommendation is saying, hey, no, no, no. Find something
S-
specific, zone in for about 20 seconds, give the eye muscles all a chance to do their thing, and then come back to the device or the task at hand. And
Yes.
I think that's awesome. I feel like that should be like even on like some devices. I mean, the Apple Watch, it lets you know when to stand up. Maybe that's a good
Yeah.
feature that
Yeah. Oh,
developers
that's
can
a
think
great
about,
point.
like, hey, 20 minutes of eye time, because this technology, they know when your eyes are locked in. So maybe the phone or
Yes.
something can say, hey, for the kids' sake,
Kick
20,
kick in.
the countdown coming, is coming up, and give them a challenge. Hey, look for something blue, that
Yes.
is round, and let the kids look around and then focus on, but that might
Focus
be
on.
some cool technology.
Yeah, that's
Thank you for
that
that.
all of that because all that adds up to the end of the day, especially people driving at night. I've never,
Mm,
years and years ago, you would hear about, once again, I'm not picking on the older people that they don't like
yes.
to drive at night. Well, now I'm
Hmm.
getting 17, 18, 19-year-olds telling me they don't like to drive at night.
Me
So
too.
I'm like,
Yes.
wow, this is language I never heard before from such a
Hmm.
younger population because they're on the monitors or
Yeah.
screens or devices and looking that distance for so many hours. Now it's time to drive home. It's say maybe a little rainy and dark out, and
Hmm.
now everything is difficult.
Yeah.
So it adds up throughout the day. It may seem
Mm.
silly at first, but it adds up by the end of the day.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's what they call macular degeneration, just getting to a point, and it's not as it was a slow progress, it seems like, back in the day, but now with the use of tablets and the use of, people streaming, binge watching shows until 2, 3 in the morning, and then getting up at 6 a.m. So you only have 4 hours of sleep. Kids who are gamers, they're gaming all day, they're gaming all night, they're drinking the Red Bulls, they're drinking
Yeah.
the energy drinks, they're just, Uber
It's a lot.
Eats, and there's
Yeah.
no break. You have to understand, young people, hear me out, parents, hear me out, that you don't the thing about the eyes is almost like the heart, and it's almost like yeah, it's like the heart. It will take a beating until it can't take a beating anymore. And then that's the issue. It's going to whisper until it shouts. So you don't want to take your eyes for granted because you're saying, oh, it's okay, or I have just a slight headache. Because kids, they're going to dismiss these things. They don't want to stop gaming.
Yes.
Adults, we're going to dismiss these things. We're having strains, we're having headaches, we think we're just stressed out. But no, your eyes need a break. They need a rest because there is a thing as cortisol levels. There are things as macular degeneration where you're tearing up your eyeball because of overstrain, and that translates to hypertension. That translates to diabetes. That translates to stroke. That translates to heart attack. That translates to a lot. That also translates to mental distress because you actively keeping your eyes in motion, you're bringing on distress and duress because you're they're just over engaged. You're overwhelmed. You're overstimulated. Can you
Yeah.
speak to some things that people can do? So we spoke about blue light glasses. I have blue light glasses, but I
Yes.
feel like they are the gateway drug to binge. So it's like, okay, I have my blue light glasses. That means I could just keep working on emails and keep working all night on my phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, my blue light. I'll be honest, my blue light glasses have become my gateway drug. So now I'm like
Yeah.
trying to get off of my blue light glasses
Yes.
because they have given me an excuse to work past the time I should be resting.
Hmm.
What are some things we can do internally as far as eating, or what are some nutrients, or yeah, what are some nutrients that have been
Yeah.
known to help with better
Yeah.
eye health?
Right. One thing, omega 3s are very good
Okay.
for the lids, to help produce tear film better. Our
Tear
tear
film?
film, yeah, so we don't have
Oh,
such dry eyes. So
okay.
omega-3 is one that does help that, for
Tear
dry
film.
eye. Yeah, so inside our eye, we have a certain amount of tears, and some people have less tears than others, or the components of the tears are not there,
Mm,
and they need to be produced better. The omega-3s help with that. There's also like Centrum with lutein, helps the integrity of the macula. You mentioned macular degeneration. That tends to help happen in older folks, and this breakdown there. That also helps the integrity of the retina. And also vitamins A, C, and E are all
mm.
antioxidants. Those are all known to help the integrity of the retina. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you've been following this community, healthiest family, then you will already know some of the foods that help. We spoke about top superfoods like pumpkin seeds and a lot of other fun things that are good for the eyes. Anything with beta carotene, that's what she was saying with the vitamin A.
Yeah.
And that's with the lutein and the oh my God, I nailed it earlier, the zeaxanthins. So that's also because they are converting that A to be able to, the A to the retina, and
Yes.
a lot of those components. What advice would you give to someone who, hmm, how can I word this? What advice would you give to someone who they now have heard this episode and they're like, okay, I didn't understand eye health was as important as it is. Okay, I get it now. What should they be looking for when they are choosing an eye doctor? And what are some of the questions they should have at their exam?
Yeah, good question. I think number one, someone who obviously is licensed, who is going to be
Yes,
there.
that's a great start.
A reputation's always great. And what they have available. Do they have imaging? Do they have certain
Mm,
they do they have if they're interested in contacts? Do they have a variety of contacts that they can look into and have options for?
okay.
Also, if someone is pediatrics, I don't know if they're looking for having their kids go
Mm-hmm.
to an eye exam. So is it a family based practice? Is it a base practice is more contacts, more of a retail end that they do have the glasses?
Mm,
And if they do have underlying issues such as a retinal issue or glaucoma, long as that doctor there is someone that will take care of those things. Is it someone that needs more
yeah.
evaluations and that? So most doctors do take care of all of that, but that would be something that you would want to make sure of, that they have that, and that they have,
Okay.
um, everyone should have online emergency care in case there's like something gets in
Mm,
your eye. There's my eye have flashes and floaters. That's very important. Can be indicative of a retinal detachment. You want to make sure that you have all those accessibilities
wow.
if there is a problem. Yes.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. Some people probably did not know that, doctor. I've heard of some retail spaces where they just, hey, cover this eye, cover this eye. There's a chart. Read this line, read this line, read this line. And maybe they'll have the what is it called when they're clicking it?
Phoropter, yes, yeah,
Yeah,
the phoropter, yeah,
what do you call it?
for phoropter, where it's like
The
for
report.
the yeah, for the refraction.
Yeah, they
Yes.
may have that, and then that's it. They're not,
Yeah.
they don't do the and yeah, let's do this 101, eye exam 101. What is the point of the thing that it's touching your eye, they numb it, and it's checking
Yes,
for
that's
the
for the
pressure? What
pressure.
is that?
That's for the pressure.
Okay.
So that also, and also the puff up, you may have had the puff of air test.
I was gonna ask
Little,
that
yes.
next. Yep.
That's always everyone is in love with that one. But that
No,
is very
Lord.
important because both of them test the pressure. So inside,
Okay.
they're just two different ways of
Okay.
checking the pressure. That is very important because we want to make sure that is being detected early. Because once
Okay.
again, that's a silent one. We don't feel
Mm,
pressure like that in our eye. You might feel pressure from sinuses and things like that, but not pressure from glaucoma.
a different
Yeah,
pressure.
different pressure.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to make sure they're doing the test that is
Yeah, yeah,
okay, that's
yes.
good. We want to make sure if they don't have that, that they have the puffer, because the puffer, if you know, you know, the
Yes.
puffer just shoots a puff in your eye. What is the point of dilating the eyes?
Yeah.
Why do
Oh,
they need
very
to
good
dilate the
question.
eyes?
Very good question. What that's a standard of care. We have standards in
Okay.
optometry that we have to
Okay.
do for a basic eye exam. So you have to do
Okay.
a refraction. You have to do the pre-test. You have to do, visual field.
Okay.
And the dilation is one of the gold standards, especially someone who's diabetic.
Mm,
But that opens up the pupil. So if I'm looking at the back of the eye, because the pupil shuts down, if the
okay.
pupils constrict, much harder to see the back of the eye. When your
Okay.
pupils are dilated, you get to see everything. You get to see the retina, you get to see the optic nerve very clearly, and you get a little better depth perception too. And the periphery or the very edges of the retina. That's very
Okay.
important to take a look at because we can have holes, tears, or breaks in the very periphery or edges of the retina. And you probably have heard the term
Mm,
retinal detachment.
yeah.
That is where they're found typically. And the only way to really see that is with a dilated eye exam. It's a little bit of a inconvenience because your eyes are dilated, you're a little bit
Yeah.
blurry for a couple hours, you have a sunlight sensitivity, but it's
Okay.
worth it. It's just worth to have because it tells us so much more. Or
About
there's
the eye
imaging
health.
that gets out to the periphery too. There's something called an optos where it's the periphery is shown in the imaging. So there are
Okay.
other ways, but the dilation is sort of that golden standard.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
gold
sure.
standard. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then there's a test where you look in, it's you put your eyeball close up, and then there's a dot. There's usually like a balloon, like a air balloon, and
Yes.
then there's a
Yes.
what is that
That
about?
okay, yeah, that's called an autorefraction. I'm pretty sure I'm understanding what you're looking at. It
Yeah.
is so
It's
it
for the
gives kind
dot.
of like
Yeah.
yes, it kind of gives a general idea of what your prescription is by measurements, and
Okay.
it's kind of like an objective way. It doesn't mean it's always perfectly accurate. We refine all that in the
Okay.
exam, but it kind of gives a general idea. It's great for a child. I think it's
Mm,
great for someone maybe nonverbal. You kind of have a baseline to go on, but it's not
yeah.
everything, but it gives a good baseline.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
the time has flew. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So I had a question that was given to me, and then we'll oh my goodness, I hate to say wrap it up because it's like we could do a part two. But they this person was concerned. They did not want to say their name. I know who they are. They are considering getting a eye color surgery where they want to do a surgery to change the color of their eye. I'm not a eye specialist, so I try to reserve my opinion because I was just like, are you nuts? But
Yeah.
that is a thing. People are, self-expression. People are,
Yes. Oh my God.
this generation, everybody just wants to be different in some way, form,
Yes.
or fashion. And can you speak to um, what that looks like? I mean, the pros and the cons for someone who wants to get eye color change surgery. And also, we'll switch it up. The person who wants to get LASIK or eye corrective surgery. Can you speak
Yes.
to those two?
Yes. Well, the LASIK is proven, it's been out there. It is not for everyone because they do have to make sure your corneas are thick enough. There's other
Hmm.
parameters. They have other ways of looking at there's different parameters for each person. So it's individually determined. But the surgeon
Okay.
ultimately will tell you, yes, I can do LASIK on you, and this is what the results will be. Or I
Okay.
think I can get you to this. So the expectations should be laid out right away if you're going to decide on LASIK. But
Okay.
there's always risk, right? There's risk with anything.
Always.
There's a risk,
Always.
and so the risk of LASIK is there. You still can have, scarring and things like that. There can be issues that can come up. But something as drastic as the color change, which I'm not as familiar with, that is, if it's not proven, if it's not
Gotcha.
tested, you're putting a big risk of doing
Big
anything like,
risk.
and I would just stick with color contacts. if
Yes.
they, but yes. So,
I know two
um,
friends. I'm out in LA,
yeah.
Hollywood world, and I know two friends who went overseas to do the eye color
Oh,
change. And both of these people, I should say friends, associates, people I know in passing, and both of them they suffered eye damage,
Ooh,
irreversible,
that's
uncorrectable eye damage.
oh my gosh.
This when you get into the legally blind, and this is just at this
Oh
stage
my
that
god.
they still don't know what's to come because they're what, late 30s.
Yeah,
They
oh my
they can't
gosh.
imagine what's still on the horizon because of messing
Yes.
with it. So, I don't, community, we're not telling you what to do, but I hope you can hear between the lines on what we're saying in that area. Dr. Como, this has been amazing. Before you go, do you mind? I have this segment of the podcast where I call it the call to action. And this is that your last I gotta come up with something that I can call this. Let's just say call to action. I would like for you to address the community and share with the family your call to action and the importance of eye health and what the biggest takeaway of this conversation should be for them.
Yeah, is really a lot of stuff could be prevented, like you were saying,
Mm,
a lot. And so I think the annual eye exam, just that alone just tells us so much. If there's
mm,
anything on the horizon, there's something we have to watch for. And that all of that, a lot of that can be reversible, monitored
yeah.
tightly, and changed so you don't have a problem later. That would probably be my biggest thing is to be proactive and not
Yes.
and yes, great, get the new glasses, get the new great, that's perfect. We want everyone to be happy with how they're seeing, but there's another side that you have to be
Mm,
sure that all of that is being looked at further, and that if there is a problem now today, we can change it or help um, circumvent an
yes.
issue that's on the horizon, or further health evaluation, such as even basic blood work. Sometimes we have to send for because so all the it could be something else in the body
Wow.
going on that we can actually start working on with your physician.
Mm,
So that
wow.
is all really my probably my biggest thing is that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And my takeaway from just what you've shared, also highlighting prevention, but also detection, that the whole point of the eye exam is to prevent, but also detect, and not to treat the eye exam like a lunchtime oil change, but
Yeah.
to when they're asking you, when the eye office is asking you, hey, because some things are standard, but other things they have to ask because insurance may not cover it. Hey, we would
Yes.
like to do this test, and this test. I will hope that the community now looks at it in a different way, that they're not just upcharging you for whatever the case. That's what
Yes.
the glasses are
That's a
for.
very good
They're
point.
they're they're literally they are seeing trends that you're not seeing because you're only there once a year. So they're seeing trends in our demographics, they're seeing trends in different age groups, and
Yes.
they may have noticed something based on the standard eye test, and they want to say, hey, listen, I see something, I don't want to alarm you, but unfortunately insurance doesn't cover it, but I would highly recommend to also do this test. I hope
Yes.
this conversation now puts us in a different mindset to say,
Yes.
yes, I would also like to do that
Oh,
test, doctor. So that
perfect.
way I'm getting a full picture of not just my eye health, but the eyes are the window to the body. So
Yes.
now I want a well-rounded approach. And guess what? This is the other thing. When you just don't treat your eyes like a oil change, because sometimes you'll take your car anywhere to get an oil change.
Yeah.
If the engine is messed up or the brakes, you're very
Oh my God.
specific. You're going to go to someone you trust and love. But the eyes, for some reason, but hopefully after this conversation, the takeaway with me is find an eye doctor that you can build and grow with. So that way,
Yes.
when they are recommending something, don't keep picking different eye doctors just because your insurance is in your network
Oh,
and this place have better sunglasses than that place.
yes.
You're just looking for someone who you connect with, who you could tell is passionate, someone like a Dr. Como who is passionate about the eyeball. And so when they do recommend, hey, I think you should get this done today, you're not even thinking twice about it. You're just
Right.
like, yes. So that's my
Right.
takeaway, doctor. To
I love it.
let's start building better relationships with our eye doctors because
Fabulous.
they can detect things that our general practitioners aren't able to through lab. or through just a regular, they'll tell you to lift your eye up and put the eye, all right, lift your other eye up. Okay. And, they check the ear, they check the blood pressure, and,
Right.
hey, what's going on? Okay. Everything's good. I'll see you next year. I'll see you in 6 months. But the eye doctor is going to say, wait a minute, let's go behind the eye and see what's going on. So that was my
Yes.
takeaway.
Yes, I love it. That's great.
Yes.
That's
All right.
great. Fantastic. I'm so glad you had me here, and hopefully this
Yes.
does change the perspective of what eye health is all about
I
and
hope
the
so.
importance.
I
And like
hope
I said,
so.
get your glasses, get your sunglasses, enjoy them, but we got
Have
to take
fun.
care of ourselves.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Even people with LASIK, even though you got the
Yes,
LASIK, we still have to be
absolutely.
proactive about what we're eating. We still need our eye exams. That's we need them a little bit more when you initially get it because you are going to experience dryness. You can get your tear ducts blocked, but there's a whole community. See how we need a part two? But
Yeah.
anyway, let me Dr. Como, thank you so much for being
Thank
my guest. You
you.
were such a joy. And who to think we did this twice? I
I
mean, this felt so natural. Like
yeah.
I felt like we could literally, I'm not gonna jinx it, do it 3 times, but this was so beautiful. Thank you for taking the time to
Thank
be
you
with
for
us
having
today.
me. This
Thank
was
you for your
great.
wisdom. I mean,
Oh,
I
this is
yeah, this was amazing. Community, remember, health is wealth, and we're just here to make sure you're getting paid. Until next time, yum on. And thank you for just being a part of this journey. I love you, community.